What's going on, everyone? It's that time again where we rank bosses from easiest to hardest, and this time we are looking at Lies of P. I wanted to note that all of these boss fights I attempted pre-patch, okay? This is how I felt about them before the big update where a couple of them got a bit nerfed and also the NPC got buffed. So with me being somebody who used NPCs, I wanted to make note of that and let you guys know that the NPCs weren't as strong during my boss fights. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. The NPCs helped me a little bit, but not as much as they're helping others now. So let's get to it. Let's get this started, all right? We're gonna start with the easiest boss in the game, and that is the Mad Donkey. This guy was so easy, I didn't even bother to record footage of him the first time around. So I had to make a new file and fight him again, and killed him even quicker the second time. So the easiest got even more easier with all of my experience now, because once I could parry a bit more, this guy really had no chance. And even without parrying, you can just wrap around and backstab him all day. Simple and done. So see you later, Mad Donkey. Give me your mask. You're out of here. By the way, did I mention I'm just doing main bosses, not optional? I think I should let you guys know that. Yes, only main mandatory bosses. All right, let's continue. At number 13, we have the Door Guardian. Speaking of not recording much footage for easy bosses, this was another. However, what makes this guy a bit harder than the Mad Donkey is that it could take a minute before figuring out how to get him finished. Did I just really describe it that way? This is the Yorm of Lies of P, where a gimmick is needed to trivialize this fight. Basically, you have to just hit him in the leg. That's it. Hit him in the leg and it's over. Next, at number 12, we have the Parade Master, the first boss of the game. And while it does pack a big punch for early game, with a little bit of parrying and good dodging, Parade Master is light work. At this point in the game, I wasn't really even parrying at all and just dodged my way to victory. It is a good first boss though, and I felt like it was a good introduction to the game, and it gave us a glimpse at the type of strategies we're gonna have to develop as we continue. Overall, it's a good first boss and pretty easy to beat, especially if you already fought it in the demo. A very good challenge if you're lacking experience, but if you know a thing or two about Souls-likes, he's really not that bad at all. Alright, next at number 11, we have the Scrapped Watchman. Similar to the Parade Master, if you parry this guy, even just a little bit, it will help a lot. But again, I mostly dodged at this point in the game, and so because of that, I had a little bit more trouble. The electricity that he does just simply makes the fight harder. It can disrupt any greed that I had, and even if I didn't parry, I still had to dodge his attacks consistently, while managing the little health and stamina that I had early game. I didn't fight this boss in the demo as well, so the main game was my first experience with this boss, and because of that, it was more challenging and why it's higher on this list. Next, we have the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. This is the first time we meet this gang of baddies, and thankfully, I didn't have too many issues with them, because I've seen what they're capable of as far as overwhelming the player, but thankfully, I just didn't have to deal with that too much. I basically just focused on the main enemy, and I let my NPC help me avoid the rest. I died a couple times, but I realized if we just focus on the main person, I think we can get this done. And we basically took these guys out like a couple of bullies. They really had no chance, especially when they just have their backs turned to me like this. What were they thinking? And we can backstab them too? Thanks for the win, I guess. I will take it. Next at number 9, we have the Corrupted Parade Master. So this is the Parade Master from before, but now with some corruption. As you can see, when they do hit me, it causes decay. This causes me to have to repair my weapon, and it can make the fight more difficult. But after fighting him a few times and seeing his patterns, I realized there's many openings for me to attack, heal, and add effects to my weapons, as well as repair them too. I did die a few times more than the bosses we already listed, and because of the corruption, it is objectively harder than the first Parade Master. So yeah, Corrupted Parade Master here at number 9. I think it's well deserved. Not too hard, not too difficult, but just enough to be a little higher on the list. Now, this is where it's going to start to get a bit interesting and perhaps controversial. Here at number 8, I have the fallen Archbishop Andreas. I know a lot of gamers have had issues with this boss. As it stands, my how-to for this boss currently has the most views of all my Lies of P videos, so clearly people want to know how to beat this thing. I actually had a good time with this boss though, and I didn't really have a lot of issues with it. My NPC actually went the distance with it too and survived till the very end, so I feel I just got lucky, because when I hear the stories and the horror stories from other people about how hard this thing is, I feel like I got away easy. Objectively, I see it's a hard fight, and because I see the community had issues with it, I do take that into account, but ultimately this is my experience, and this boss didn't really give me that much trouble. I just kind of went in there and fought it like a Souls boss. I tanked and stayed there and just hit it, and it died. And so yeah, that's why this boss is kind of in the middle of my list. I think that's a good spot for it, but it's nowhere near the hardest bosses that we're going to talk about in my experience. So yeah, let's get to the rest here. At number 7, I have Champion Victor. I know some people are going to be like, what? This guy's harder than the bishop? Yeah, for me, he kind of was. He was more annoying than anything, honestly. I felt like I underestimated this guy. He can be kind of slow, he can be a little sluggish, and I just felt like I could do what I wanted. But yeah, he would make me pay for my greed. He would annoy me, and I died more times than I should have. And ultimately, it's because I have to parry this guy. And at this point of the game, I was still struggling with fine-tuning that parry. So I struggled a bit more than the other bosses that we listed because I just could not get my parry to do its thing. And so here we are, the Champion Victor here at number 7. Which I know is crazy, but this guy was just straight up annoying. Get this silly Bane reject out of my face. I don't even want to look at him, honestly. I don't want to look at him. Let's move on. Let's get on to the next one, and that is at number 6, we got Black Rabbit Brotherhood. So me and the NPC bullied these guys before, remember? Well, now they got their big brother to stand up for them, and they came to defend their little butts. So here we are with a harder fight. It can be easy to get ganged up on, getting stuck by walls and stuff like that. It can just be kind of more frustrating, and overall, it's just easier to mess up. Once I found a good order of taking them out though, before the main boss, that made it a bit easier, and just with more practice on that, I was able to get it done. A little bit of fire, a little bit of my NPC helping, and we got it done in about 10 tries. So listen, they could bring the whole family next time. Bring Grandma Rabbit, all right? We'll take you guys all out. Next, at number 5, we have King's Flame Fuko. At least I think that's how you say it. This boss, for whatever reason, was my first skill check, and they kind of tore me up more than a few times. Mostly it was the fire attack in the second phase and just me not understanding some easy tricks to do until later. I think at this point I was trying to play the game the way it was intended, but I saw slowly that I can just dodge my own way and just kind of get it done my own way. So I did. But because I died way more on this boss compared to the others, I'm gonna have to put it a bit higher in the list. My first skill check will definitely not be forgotten. This thing got on my nerves, I gotta admit. Next, at number 4, and I'm gonna butcher this, we have Laxia the Complete. Wait, I've seen this before. Hold on. Look, this ain't my first rodeo, Laxia, sorry. But what if I told you I was still dying a lot? First of all, the first phase can be tricky. The boss hits really hard, the parrying, it can be difficult, and even with an NPC, I still struggled. The second phase I actually found easier, and some of it is due to this past experience. This game of tennis and blocking and parrying to attack them back. I did that pretty well, and that's how you get most of your damage. So I felt like the second phase was a bit easier. Toe-to-toe with this boss though, when she was actually on the ground, not so easy. But the quicker we're able to land those air attacks, those projectile attacks, the quicker they died. And that's exactly what happened. So although it was tough, it was doable, and I knew exactly what to do. I just had to do it, which didn't really happen so fast as I would like. So I did die a lot. So yeah, Laxia here at number 4, very well deserved. All right, we're getting down to the final 3. At number 3, I have the green monster of the swamp. And I knew what I had to do here too. I had to parry and get good. But I dreaded it big time. This thing just had to make me play the game the way it was intended. But in all seriousness, this fight was really fun to learn for me. I enjoyed seeing myself getting better at parrying. And after this fight, I was much more confident about my parrying going forward. And I really felt like I improved. So this boss did its job. It really made me play the game the way it's meant to be played. The green monster in phase 1 was pretty easy. I knocked it out pretty quick with the NPC. Second phase though was a bit more trickier, and it was full of moments where I had to learn the timing and parry efficiently. One bad move and it could all be over, and I definitely went through that a few times. I died multiple times, but it never really felt impossible. It was one of those bosses, again, much like the one we talked about before this, where I knew what to do, I just had to execute it. This to me was a good Souls-like boss because I knew what to do, like I said, and I could see myself getting better and better and just executing better and better. And that to me is a good experience. So I enjoyed this boss. I enjoyed beating this boss. But it definitely earns number 3, especially compared to these next 2. All right, let's get to it. It's rare I ever think something is impossible, and I just cannot do it. But this boss right here had me talking to myself, telling myself, I don't think I can do this. And that boss is none other than Romeo, King of Puppets. The first phase I had down to a science, all right, but a lot of things had to go right. And whenever they didn't, I was just kind of in hell at that point. I would call it a wash and start over at times because just nothing was gonna go right beyond that point. And the thing about this that made it way more harder for me was I only had 4 heals. That's right, 4. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot, okay? I only had that many, but somehow, some way, 3 hours later, I beat this boss. But at what cost? The first phase, like I said, a lot had to go right on it. And even if it did, and I got to the second phase, it could be over in a second. I must have seen the first phase at least 50 times, you guys. That's right. Yeah, it was insane. I just wanted to see the second phase enough to learn it, and to get there, it just felt like this hurdle I had to go through every freaking time. And again, only 4 heals, all right? So yeah, am I a beast? Maybe, but I'm a stupid beast, that's for sure, all right? So yeah, this boss, it just was crazy. But the more I was able to see that second phase and see his patterns, and then I came up with my own kind of plan to take him down, I was able to do it after multiple tries. After multiple tries, okay? But yeah, that's how it went down. This guy kind of mentally destroyed me, but who's the winner now, huh? Me, I did it. Last but not least, we're gonna go with the official last boss of the game, and that is Simon Manus, Arm of God, or Awakened God, as he's called in the second phase. If you're curious how I defeated this boss, I have a how-to on it, and it consists of me really imploring to you guys that we cannot be greedy on this fight, because they'll try and bait you, they'll get you in trouble, you'll be trying to parry something and then there's this other attack happening at the same time. The openings for parries and staggers, they could be taken from you because he's constantly doing other things. And I felt like it was so cheap. For multiple tries, I was like, this boss is cheap as heck. I can't stand it. This boss sucks. And I just kept going through the motions. And I had a lot more heals by now. I had a lot of things going on for my character. I had leveled up like crazy, and he was still kicking my ass. It's everything. It's the projectiles, it's the god hand, it's the parrying you have to do, it's the wave attack, it's everything. It's everything happening at once. And going through this fight, yes, it was somewhat fun to learn. I will say that. It was fun because I knew what I had to do eventually, but getting there was very frustrating. This is by far the hardest boss in the game for me, for sure. There's no question about it. It took me the longest, I died the most, and I consider it much harder than Romeo because Romeo I felt nerfed. I didn't have a lot of heals, I was still kind of underleveled probably at this point, and you know, that was earlier in the game. By the end of the game, that's the strongest I'm gonna be. And he was still kicking my butt. So for sure, this is the top hardest boss of the game for me. And we gotta give it up, man. Gotta give it up. I think we gotta have a round of applause for this boss because this boss whooped my butt. One more thing, I do want to give an honorable mention for the optional final boss, which is the nameless puppet. And I did fight this boss a few times. But you know what, you guys? I'm gonna be honest with you. After my run-in with Simon, and after going through this game almost non-stop, every day I was playing this game, trying to make content, all of that, right? I was tired. I was like, you know what? I think I'm done. GG, I killed Simon, I'm good. So I ended up taking the other ending. All right, I'm not gonna give away, I'm not gonna spoil it or anything like that, but I ended up not really having to fight Nameless Puppet. But I did give it a few shots and I did find him difficult. I think if I would have ended up beating him, which I probably would after maybe an hour or so, but I think he would be maybe like 4 or 5 on this list if I had to guess. An educated guess, just based on what I seen, what I played through. Tough boss, but not impossible. So yeah, that's my honorable mention, but I'm not including him because again, it's not mandatory, and I took the other ending because I'm tired. I am tired. But yeah, that's my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree, what you would change on your list. Definitely let me know, all right? Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.